Alright guys, so today's video we're going to be checking out the JBL Wave 200 True Wireless Earbuds. And essentially we're also checking out the JBL Vibe 200 True Wireless Earbuds as well. And I want to start here because normally I only do videos on products that I'm very interested in, products that I just feel like people should know about. But when this product was sent out to me, I was interested in doing it because, you know, JBL is one of those more well-known companies, but JBL is also one of those companies that has released way too many earbuds. It's at this point, it's kind of hard to differentiate one pair between the other. And I kind of thought that was the case with these. I noticed that the Wave 200s that were sent to me were identical to the Vibe 200s that I also saw online. And when I reached out to the company that sent these to me, they said, no, the Vibe's not made anymore. It's the Wave that has replaced it. And immediately I just had to check this out. It just didn't make sense to me. And what it comes down to is the Wave is available in some countries and the Vibe is available in some other countries. And I also noticed that when I looked up the ad videos to see when these were released, the ad video is identical from the Wave and the Vibe, except the name has been changed, and they were both released on the same day. So it already kind of rubbed me the wrong way that I was lied to on this product being the one that replaced the Vibe. But we're still gonna take a look at it because I do wanna point out some other things, and this is just about earbuds in general, because I do feel like there are some companies that release way too many products, and sometimes it seems as though products are getting like the bare minimum when it comes to features. It's just basically a stripped down version of other products that they may have available, and they still kind of come in overpriced. And let's go ahead and start with the price, because I did notice that the JBL Vibe, which is available on Amazon, you can pick up for about 50 bucks. And the Wave, which is the one that was sent to me, and the link that I'm gonna have below, it goes to AliExpress because that's the company that sent it. These are $77 on AliExpress. Now, again, keep in mind, these are exact same products, but there is a $27 difference between the Wave and the Vibe. And that already just kind of throws up red flags. Now, another reason that I do say that there's not a whole lot to get excited about here, if you actually look at JBL's website, now this is under the features section. So these are listed as features. And so it already shows you that it's very hard to even get excited about it because they list that Bluetooth is a feature. They list that the charging cable is a feature. And they also list that the earbud is a feature. Now, I don't know why this would even be listed under features other than the fact that maybe they don't have a lot to talk about. But if you are still interested in checking these out, they do come in 4 different colors. There is the black version, which is the one that I have, but it's also available in white, blue, and purple. Now, as far as technology-wise, it does come with Bluetooth 5.0. Now, it does only have AAC and SBC playback, and luckily I didn't have any issues with hearing compression when it comes to audio. But when it comes to lag, I actually did have lag when it came to movies, videos, and gaming. And I also saw where there was a comment to a review that somebody had posted where JBL said, well, this is meant to be a product just for listening to audio, so it wasn't really focused on to make it work with other types of media. And again, I just thought that was kind of strange. And then another thing that was confusing is the IP rating on these are only IPX2. Now that is as low as you can possibly go, so I could barely recommend using this at the gym. I would definitely be hesitant if you're gonna use them outdoors and it starts to rain, or if you're somebody that sweats heavily, because I don't know how protective it is against those situations. Now, as far as what all they've included inside the box, you do get the usual small, medium, and large silicone ear tips. It does charge via USB-C. There is no Qi wireless charging on this case. And speaking of the charging, you only get about 5 hours on the earbuds itself, with about 20 hours using the case. So we've definitely seen better on other earbuds in this price range, but luckily this pair does have a fast charge feature where a 15-minute charge will get you an hour's worth of use. Now, moving over to looking at the actual case and the earbuds themselves, I do like the texture on the case. It has a matte finish to it, so it doesn't really pick up fingerprints that easily. On the bottom, you can see it has the USB-C input for charging, and then around on the front, underneath the logo, you can see it has that single indicator light. And this way you can just kind of gauge how much battery life is left in the case. But when you open up the lid, the first thing that I want to point out is because these earbuds stick out the way that they do, the lid does not fold all the way back. And so it is a little challenging to get the earbuds out of the case sometimes. It's just kind of frustrating that they don't let the lid go all the way down so that you can just grab them and pull them out. But once you get them out of the case, you can see that these do have the stem style design. It is a shorter stem, so it's not one of those really long ones that just looks obnoxious when it's in people's ears. This pair does use touch controls where the glossy area is located on the outside. And sadly, they don't give you control over everything. They give you control over everything but the volume. And again, this is another thing that I don't understand why companies do this, because I have seen other companies be able to give you controls over everything and also give you additional controls because they have other features. So this is obviously another thing that is frustrating. But for you guys that do like to use your earbuds for phone calls, I do think the Wave 200 does a very decent job here. I noticed even in noisy environments that it did a pretty decent job of focusing in on my voice, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here is a mic test using the Wave 200s, and I think overall it does sound fairly natural, although there's always going to be that digital noise there. There is a slight bit of warmth to my voice, but this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here's the mic test with the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. So this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about the sound. Now these are using 8mm drivers, and I think it was very impressive the amount of volume that I got out of these, but I was also really impressed with the audio quality. Now it's not surprising that it sticks to that typical Harman curve because Harman is the one that owns JBL. So what you're getting is a very prominent, like boomy bass. But you're also getting a really detailed treble. And again, it kind of has that U shape to it. But I will say that the mids are pushed fairly forward on this pair. And basically the mids made it where it sounded like the vocalist was always a little bit closer, except when it came to genres that were a little more chaotic. I noticed with metal and just anything where maybe a lot's going on, the vocalists kind of got pushed back. It kind of started to congest the audio a little bit. Now, when you're listening to other genres like, regular pop, hip hop, classical, or country or anything like that, vocalists were definitely up front. Instruments I felt like sounded great. And the treble on these were very bright. In fact, there are a lot of times where you can hear the sibilants in S's. Same thing with the cymbals crashing. It just kind of has like maybe a slight hiss to it. And I understand why they did this. They wanted to kind of counterbalance with that really boomy bass. And for the most part, it works great. But I will say there are times where you hear that sibilant sound and it kind of just pulls you out of what you're listening to. Going back to the bass itself, even though I'm saying it is boomy, I still feel like they did a really good job of keeping it somewhat controlled. I don't feel like it's sloppy, and I don't feel like it's rolling over the mids and highs until you're just listening to something that just has a lot going on. Now, as far as the sound stage and the sound imaging, this is not one of those very open sounding earbuds. And again, it's because of its very dominant dynamic sound signature. It left me feeling like I was in a medium-sized room. But luckily, I had no issue with being able to tell where sounds were coming from. They just didn't really sound like they had as much space as other earbuds. So my overall opinion is, yes, it's a good sounding earbud. In fact, I think it's a very good sounding earbud, especially if you like that consumer Harman curved sound signature. If you like bass to have a boomy feel, and you like a bright treble, and you like a fairly forward mids, it checks all of those boxes. But with this pair, other than that, there's not really anything to get excited about. In fact, I could even tell that from the company itself based off their site and basically just looking at everything. In fact, the video for the ad on these just doesn't really tell you anything. It shows you the image and then it just kind of cuts that quick. So it makes it where it's kind of hard to recommend these because in this price range, whether it be the $50 for the Vibe or the $77 for the Wave, there is such good competition out there. In fact, some that can even be found for less. So the $50 to under $100 market is incredible right now for earbuds. So JBL kind of has to step it up especially in this price range if they want to stand out. I mean, the sound on them is good, and if that's all you care about and you're just going to listen to them at home and maybe not outdoors where it could rain, and you don't care about other features, then maybe you do want to check these out. But again, I go back to the fact that there's some really strong competition out there. But guys, that wraps up my video on the JBL Wave / Vibe 200 True Wireless Earbuds. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.